In order to make Spider-Man fly through the city with the kind of flexibility that you would expect from somebody who's capable of leaping from 50 stories up and swinging through the street below, we had to have flexibility with the movement of the camera. And one of the things that Sam is very conscientious about is trying to make camera moves that don't seem implausible. Yeah. So what you're saying is we do one
for the first part,
right, and then we'll do one that's
Earl Wiggins' Spider Cam was used on Spider-Man 1 only for one shot. That's the last shot of the picture. But it was so effective in creating this dizzying, beautiful background plate that we've used Earl Wiggins' rig in Chicago on a number of days of photography there for a train chase sequence.
We had selected Chicago because we needed the proximity of the buildings to the tracks of the subway trains, and we could have used New York, but there was nothing close for us to shoot our plates, and we went to Chicago in November, and we shot with 17 cameras for 2 days shooting background plates.
In the first movie, we made the conceit that our cameraman traveled with Spider-Man, and he had inaccuracies in his operation, and he had to constrain himself to physical laws. As Spider-Man swung through the bottom of his arc, the cameraman went through the bottom of his arc with him. The cameraman couldn't suddenly pop up 20 feet above him. So trying to stay within the definition of a quote, super camera, and keep it so that the camera doesn't draw attention to itself is one of the huge challenges of making this character believable. It's one of the few ways that you can position a camera in such a large space, and in fact, such a precarious situation. There's no camera rigs that are out there that allow you to control the camera as completely, and it allows us to get 300 to 500 feet above the ground quite easily, and it allows us to control the camera through that movement.
We also used it in New York to achieve a lot of the plates for Doc Ock and Spider-Man to move through. We would take the camera and soar it through the city, blocks and blocks, dropping some 50 stories at a time, to really give the audience the feeling that they were soaring with Spider-Man.
We knew that in the first one, what we were missing to a certain degree was a little bit of the vertigo that it is to be Spider-Man, because his world is not 5 stories up, it's not 2 stories up, it's 75 stories up.
What we needed to do is we had to find a location where the rooftop was going to be in the middle of other buildings. And this is a rooftop I've actually used before for other movies. It's a process. It's dealing with building engineers to get engineering surveys to find out what our limits are per square foot with bodies or just equipment. And working with the mayor's film office, getting our necessary permits. So it's very time consuming, and in the film industry, as much as we try to plan ahead, sometimes with changes it makes it impossible.
It's just another aspect to the puzzle that is the filmmaking process. That makes it a little bit harder, but believe me, we couldn't have been happier than to go up on those rooftops, because that is Spider-Man's world.
The thing that's so nice about the Spider Cam is that we can put our people on the street, we can put people in the buildings, and we have all of the pigeons and the live action components that make the city alive.
We had some of the longest wire shots that this company Spider Cam has ever done. We've done one in New York, which was 2,400 feet, and we did one in Los Angeles, which was 3,200 feet. So that was the longest span they've ever filmed with.
In this case, we're actually trying to get the footage on location as opposed to doing it 100% CG like we did in the last movie. So it's a cheaper way to do the shot this way than it would be to do the whole city in computer-generated buildings and such.
We take a model of the city, meaning a computer-generated model, generally something that's shot from satellites, gives us a sense of where these buildings are, accurate to 3 or 4 feet. Then we take in that computer model, we place a camera, and we make a computer-based move through that virtual city.
This is the pre-visualization that we loaded into motion control. The move here is done in Maya. And it would be really hard to follow a Spider-Man out there that doesn't exist. So we do it here first to get all the pans and tilts correct, and then load it into motion control, and off it goes.
And the idea is to show ultimately what's going to appear in the final movie. And when we bring the program out here and put it into the SpiderCam, it duplicates exactly the moves that we made in that model. And because the model was accurate, we have an accurate sense of what we're going to capture here. Very nice, very nice. We're shooting these shots at frame rates as slow as 6 frames a second, meaning the camera is running slower than it normally would. So when you play it back on screen, it appears much faster. The idea is to make the flying sequences poetic enough and evocative enough that you start to get a sense of what it's like to do that.